Imagine clocking in for 40 years. You work the overtime, miss the occasional birthday, and put away whatever dollars you can spare. Then you check the account balance. For the average American nearing 65, that number sits around $47,000, an amount that covers less than a year of typical expenses. How does someone do exactly what they were told, trade their youth for labor, and still end up entirely unable to afford their own old age? This is a statistical reality for millions of workers who trusted a system they thought would take care of them at the finish line. During the mid-century era, stepping away from the workforce at age 65 was highly predictable. The engine driving that predictability was the defined benefit pension. Corporations provided their workforces with checks that guaranteed a steady income for life in exchange for their loyalty. That corporate income was supported by an economy with a massive supply of housing in sprawling developments, which kept mortgages affordable on a single salary. Modern workers are struggling because they are still relying on an economic playbook built for a world that has completely vanished. As global competition increased, companies realized that paying workers long into old age was too expensive. To cut costs and remove heavy liabilities from their books, they systematically phased out the pension. In its place, they offered defined contribution accounts, most notably the 401k. Instead of the company guaranteeing your monthly check, the company simply matched a portion of your own savings. The entire responsibility for picking investments, writing out market crashes, and ensuring the money lasts was handed directly to the employee. If you don't actively manage a portfolio and fund it yourself, there is no corporate safety net waiting to catch you. The only viable way to replace that lost corporate income is to master the mechanics of compound interest. A flat savings rate grows linearly, but compound interest creates an exponential curve because your initial investment generates its own earnings. A modest monthly investment looks flat for 10 years, but at 20 and 30 years, the curve steepens dramatically, scaling into hundreds of thousands. Without a company pension plan, mathematically harnessing that specific curve is required to fund your survival in old age. The math is straightforward, so why do millions of people fail to execute it? The answer lies in the massive explosion of modern living expenses. Before a worker can move cash into an investment account, their paycheck is hollowed out by skyrocketing housing costs, soaring healthcare premiums, and the interest on student loans. Even buying basic necessities at the grocery store drains the surplus capital necessary to trigger that compound interest curve in the first place. The modern economy traps the worker in a paradox. It demands that they self-fund their future while extracting the exact dollars required to do it. Reacting to this financial pressure leads people into specific behavioral traps. The most common is keeping all excess savings in cash, allowing inflation to quietly hollow out its purchasing power year after year. Another major error is treating a 401k like an emergency fund. Cashing out retirement accounts early to cover short-term bills triggers massive tax penalties and destroys any chance of long-term compounding. Then there is the assumption that the government will cover the gap. This Social Security card was designed as a supplementary safety net. It was never intended to replace a working income or maintain a modern standard of living. Leaving your future to default government programs or passively hoping things work out practically guarantees poverty in your later years. Escaping this reality requires a rigid blueprint. You have to start moving money into investments early and increase those contributions every time your income rises. You must split that money across diversified investments to manage risk and avoid high-interest consumer debt, which cancels out any market gains you make. Today, retirement is an independent financial milestone. Reaching it requires navigating toward a specific dollar amount through deliberate, long-term planning. The corporate safety nets of the past are gone, but if you understand the math and apply the discipline today, time becomes your new pension.